Liberation greetings to all and sundry, my dear people of Amazonia. Today is Tuesday. This Tuesday is May 9, 2023. And this is a special broadcast. The special broadcast is informed by some of the things that are happening around us, and again, by some of the confusion that we are still getting around regarding the issue of a referendum. But most importantly, I'm going to dwell in the early part of this broadcast, and it's going to be a short one today, talking about Sebastien Ebala. And I want us to note that Sebastien Ebala is not an isolated case. Sebastien Ebala is a trend. It's something that has been happening for quite a while now in La République du Cameroon. And I have been on this platform several times to draw the attention of our people to this very vexing truth that anytime you settle for less than you deserve, you will always permanently end up with less than you settled for. Sometimes I've been called names simply because I insist that I'm a realist. I don't want to pay attention to idealism. You know, idealism is very attractive as a school of thought. Very attractive. Because idealism talks of what would in the norm of things be. In the norm of things, there should be no wars in the world. In the norm of things, La République du Cameroon should not be terrorizing the people of Amazonia, because we walk by ourselves into an unfortunate union with La République du Cameroon. We were not conquered at war. International law says very clearly that our territory is not part of the territory of La République du Cameroon. Of course, the AU statutes, inherited from the OAU, made clear that international boundaries, were frozen at independence. And when La République du Cameroon achieved its independence on January 1, 1960, Amazonia, Southern Cameroon, was not part of La République du Cameroon's territory. So from the norm, looking at things normally, idealistically, La République du Cameroon has no claim over our territory, meaning that no one in the world should even refer to us as the English-speaking regions of Cameroon. That is idealism. But the reality on the ground is different. The reality on the ground has no relationship with these idealistic thoughts. The reality on the ground is that La République du Cameroon is enjoying effective occupation on our territory. The reality on the ground is that the rest of the world appears to believe that La République du Cameroon has a claim on our territory. Of course, the rest of the world believes that because we got into this kind of unfortunate union with La République du Cameroon and have lived in an ancestral relationship with them, ancestral relationship or a kind of come we stay relationship with them since 1961 to this day, or 60 years after, maybe it will not be normal for them to come and say, okay, you both separate. So they try by every means to see how to force us together. That is the reality on the ground. And the reality on the ground today is that La République du Cameroon claims and is somehow given the right to believe that they have control over our territory and must be consulted or must be the ones to take decisions on our territory. That is the reality of things. And this is the reality that we have to offset. This is the reality that we have to break. Again, another very important reality is that the citizens of La République du Cameroon, because sometimes people have tried to make this seem as if we have an issue with the government of Cameroon. No. The citizens of La République du Cameroon have, from day one, seen us as not only inferior, but seen us as less human, seen us as second or even third grade citizens. And therefore, they will never ever see us as humans. So those who continue by day and by night want to talk to us about federalist experience or whatsoever, come away from the dreamland. And so Sebastien Ebala today is not a strange thing. It is a trend. We will definitely listen to him somehow, but let's take 1 second of a break and then we'll come back to it. So thank you for that moment of respite. And so I'm right back here. And without taking a lot of our time, let's begin to listen to Sebastien Ebala and then we talk about it.
J'ai fait un constat depuis un certain temps que quand vous entrez dans un taxi, d'abord, premièrement, les taximans, certains taximans sont d'abord trop sales, ils dégagent la mauvaise odeur. En plus de cela, les autres passagers en commun sont très sales. La plupart, ce sont les femmes. Et beaucoup plus les femmes.
So you hear this.
Les femmes et les filles qui sortent du nord-ouest et du sud-ouest.
So you hear this. Sebastien Ebala has one clear message in this clip. You may listen to him and you think that no, he just has a concern that taxis, the public transport facility in La République du Cameroon, that the taxis are dirty and the taxi drivers are dirty, that the hygienic conditions in those cars is not the best. Of course, it is a reality. We have decried this. And you recall that from time immemorial, everyone knew that if you wanted to enter and enjoy a clean taxi, well-scented, neat, and anything, you have to go to the southern Cameroons. You should be in Linde, you should be in Boya, you should be in Bamenda, you should be in Kumbo. Wherever, if you want to get into a taxi that is constantly cleaned, that is well-scented, that is well-decorated, that makes you feel so attracted in getting into it, this is where you have to go. So Ebala's message today is not that he's oblivious to that, to the fact that taxis in the Republic of Cameroon in particular are in a very deplorable conditions. Each time we had to do programs on CITV to talk about tourism in Cameroon, we talked about those taxis, how dirty they were. A good lot of them have never been washed even for weeks or months on end. Quite some of them are in very horrible conditions that they even move around and stop and push them. A good lot of those taxis don't even have seat belts. They don't even have a good braking system. Some of them have chairs that are all torn and with wires coming out there that can even tear your dresses and all of those things. That is the reality of things in La République du Cameroon. Ebala is aware of this. But in this short clip that you're fully listened, what is Ebala saying here? He just takes a little moment to condemn that, but comes straight and says his main problem is that the women that come from what he calls northwest and southwest, that's from Ambazonia, from southern Cameroons, stink, that they emit a kind of stench that is unacceptable in taxis, that they are dirty. That's what he's saying. We are filthy. He's saying they are filthy. In fact, that he says when he gets into a taxi, he's so obsessed, so disturbed because of these women from the southern Cameroons. Let's listen again.
Donc, dorénavant, moi, je vais agir comme un animal parce qu'il est inadmissible que tu entres dans un taxi. Non seulement la femme, elle est trop sale, elle dégage une mauvaise haleine, l'hygiène corporelle n'est pas respectée. C'est comme ça qu'elle pose ses mains sur votre.
So, Ebala says this, and this is something I've warned about, that henceforth, he is going to act and he will be very violent. That he will act as an animal. Because it's unacceptable, it is inconceivable that he gets into a taxi. These women, of course, from Amazonia are stinking all over the place. And then, they even carry their filthy hands and place them on people, dirty people's dresses. They have not taken a bath for a long time. They don't take care of self-hygiene and all of those things. They can't even brush their teeth. Just hear of that, he will become very violent next time. That he will not take it again lying down. This message is not to other occupants in the taxi, not to the taxi driver. His violence will be directed at them, but to these women from Amazonia, from the southern Cameroon, from what he calls northwest, southwest. Listen on.
Vêtements n'importe comment. Donc, dorénavant, il faudrait qu'on tire la sonnette d'alarme. Parce que le taxi, c'est un lieu qui doit être propre. C'est un lieu où on doit transporter. Le taximan doit même choisir le type de client qu'il doit transporter dans son.
So he says, henceforth, there needs to be, some kind of decorum. Because a public taxi, township taxi should be a place which is clean, which is neat, which is welcoming. And he says this, taxi drivers should choose the kind of people they carry in their cars. Listen, he made clear from the beginning of his outing the specific people he has problems with. Ebala is saying, simply put, taxi drivers in La République du Cameroon should stop transporting women from the southern Cameroon. Should stop transporting women from what he calls northwest and southwest. Because why? One, they are dirty. Two, they are filthy. Three, they don't know how to carry out self-hygiene. And number four, in fact, they can contaminate people with all kinds of venereal diseases, as you hear him say right ahead.
Véhicule. Parce que c'est pas le tout venant. Les gens ne vont pas venir saturer Yaoundé, ça devient une promiscuité absolue. Si vous...
You hear that? That people will not come and saturate Yaoundé, and it becomes some kind of horrible promiscuity. Listen well. So he's gone from talking about taxis being dirty, other passengers in the taxis, particularly women from the southern Cameroons, being filthy, not knowing how to practice self-hygiene, to pointing out that Yaoundé has been invaded. Did you hear that well? To point out that Yaoundé has been invaded. I said people should not come and invade Yaoundé with their field, with their all kinds of things, just because there is war. Listen again.
Vous n'avez rien à faire là, vous rentrez. Hein, vous allez travailler les champs au village. C'est vrai, on dit qu'il y a la guerre là-bas, mais c'est vous-même qui avez organisé cela. Donc,
you hear, he says, people should not come and invade Yaoundé. Huh? People should not just come and invade Yaoundé on the pretext that there are problems in their land and all. If you have nothing to do in Yaoundé, go to your villages and cultivate farms. What Ebala is saying here, number one, he's calling our women prostitutes. That's what he's saying. After they send their talks into our land, they are busy raping our women on a daily basis. They are busy organizing gang rape in our villages. The last time I talked about Bali, where they captured a good number of young girls and carried to the airport base in Bafut, where they spend time gang raping these young girls. That is exactly what they do in the various villages. Sometimes they even come and rape a woman in front of the husband and the children. After doing all of this and terrorizing our people to run out to safety, some unfortunately running into their own territory, thinking that the problem are Mr. Xenophobia talks and the government. Today, you should recognize that they are not the only problem. That even the people of La République du Cameroon themselves have been the problem from time immemorial. And so he says, you people caused the war. You go back there and face it. And so today, when our women, our sisters, our wives, our daughters, who have run into Yaoundé against our piece of advice, those who are settled there, today they are calling you collectively prostitutes. You're vulnerable, you have difficulty surviving, they take advantage of you, you think that they love you, they deceive you, they love you. This is the real thought they have about you. Ebala, I say, is an isolated case. Ebala, no, it's not an isolated case. Ebala, I say, is simply saying publicly what all of them have been saying privately. You recall the last time there was a whole show on Equinox television in the streets of Douala, where they went to the various places where our people are in good numbers, and they were pointing out young girls, whether truly or not, they were actually from the southern Cameroons, and saying, here they are lined up here, and it is free for all. You just need 300 francs, you just need 500 francs, and you will have them to your field. This is something I've spoken against. This is something I've talked about over and over. I said it's always a big mistake running back to your enemy. When it pleases them, they say that we are coming to them because they are hospitable. When it pleases them, they say that our people are running to them because in effect they are against those of us who are talking about the need for the total freedom of our homeland. But when it doesn't please them, they call you invaders. Listen on.
Assumez les conséquences, ne venez pas déranger les gens. Parce que tout à l'heure, avant de revenir là, à la maison, là, vraiment, j'ai souffert. J'étais obligé d'être...
So he says, we orchestrated the war. We should go back there and face the consequences. We should not come and be disturbing people in La République du Cameroon. This is where they have placed us. This is how they see us. This is this is the place where they stand and look at us. I'm convinced that those who still stand on some high pedestals and talk federalism and talk special status and talk whatsoever are watching and listening to Ebala here. I'm convinced that those who invade the airwaves, be it on Namibia Prime TV, be it on CRT, be it wherever, and talk to us about Viva and Sound, and talk to us about, these are our brothers and sisters. I'm sure you have your ears to hear. Watch him. He's not an audio. It's a video. And he's talking with a straight face. He is not mincing his words. He is not pretending. He is frank. Listen on.
Vraiment, c'est pas bizarre parce que les gens te posent les mains dessus comme ça, c'est quoi ça? Hein? Avec le chlamydia qui a pignon sur rue, et les IST, la gonocoxie, avec la sueur des gens, les menstrues des femmes, elles déposent ça partout là. Ça dégage.
Did you hear that? So he is now saying that our sisters, our daughters, our wives from Amazonia, who are in La République du Cameroon, who are in Yaoundé, are the vectors of sexually transmitted infections, sexually transmitted diseases, chlamydia, gonorrhea, and all of those things. And then they don't even take care of themselves even when they are on their periods. They sit in the taxi and just go touching and contaminating people with their sweat, with their armpits that are not cleaned and all of those things. That is the image Sebastien Ebala and his fellow Francophone folks have of our people of Amazonia. I said it before, that this hatred, that these demeaning thoughts and attitudes have always been there. That the citizens, the average citizen of La République du Cameroon, thinks that he is superior, he or she is superior to anyone from the southern Cameroons. Why do we want to live under perpetual humiliation, perpetual dehumanization? Why? This is the reason I keep urging our folks by day and by night, stop attacking each other. Focus on the objective, which is making La République du Cameroun permanently uncomfortable in our land.
Hein? Et le taximan lui-même, quand il sourit un peu comme ça, tu vois comment son haleine dégage comme les WC traditionnels. Là, on ne peut pas quand même aussi continuer à être dans un pays où tout le monde... C'est quoi ça? Donc vraiment, il faudrait que ces taximens-là, c'est pas, je ne vous manque pas de respect, mais c'est tout simplement un coup de gueule que j'adresse à votre endroit. Hein. Vraiment, quand même. C'est quoi ça? Et les femmes même aussi, les hommes même. Comment?
So you hear, here he takes a little swipe at the taxi driver to try and mask the real message is coming out with today. The real message Sebastien Ebala is coming out with today is telling the people of Amazonia, the people of the Southern Cameroons, go back to your country. Go back to your land. You are not wanted here. Yes, you are disturbing. You are filth. After exploiting our resources all these years, after tapping everything they can take from our land, after sending their dogs to terrorize our villages and raise down hundreds of village settlements, they say, now you are no longer wanted. Go back. This is the message you should take home from what Ebala is saying here. Forget about the crap he's saying here about taxi drivers being dirty, not brushing their teeth. Listen, he's going back to our women. Listen.
Ta femme peut avoir les aisselles, c'est-à-dire que les poils sont déjà, je ne sais pas, comme une touffe d'herbe. Tu ne demandes pas d'aller raser ça. Le rasoir Big, c'est 100 francs. Toi-même, tu fais ça à sa place. Et tu achètes des citrons, tu essaies d'imbiber ça dessus.
So Ebala doesn't just end on the women, on our women. He crosses even to us, the men. He says, how do we manage to continue to operate, to live with women like that who are this filthy, who are this dirty, who can't take care of themselves, who don't know self-hygiene? With their armpits not shaved, say we can buy the big, that costs us 100 francs, and go ahead to carry out the hygiene ourselves on our women. Yeah. I have said always that it always gets worse before it gets better. I've said here on this platform several times that we have to stand up. we have to rise and fight for our freedom like people who know that they are on their own. Some people are still dreaming. Let's listen again.
Hein? Vous couchez avec des femmes comme ça, vous sucez même les bouches avec des pourris dents comme ça. Mais dis donc, oh là là, mon Dieu. Il faut voir quand celle-là ricane. Tu vois une belle fille, elle est brune. Mais quand elle ouvre la bouche, elle rit, c'est comme le hérisson là. C'est pourri comme les caramels brûlés.
You hear what he says? They don't even know how we manage to continue to have intercourse with these our women, with their rotten teeth, with their dirty mouths. And when they open their mouth like that to smile, it's only dirt, it's only odors that come in, filth and everything. And then he even doesn't end there. He says that you look at them, some of them look fair, neat, very attractive and everything. But when you go towards them, when they open their teeth to laugh, oh my goodness, you can begin to. This is not addressing himself just to us, the husbands or the brothers or sisters. No, he's telling the people that look, this women from the southern Cameroon, you see them shining bright like that. They are filled. They can't even brush their teeth and even recommends. That's all the men should begin to help the women to brush their teeth for them.
Oh, avec l'arrivée des Chinois, il y a même les pâtes dentifrice prélatées là. On ne devait même plus être ça dans ces pays. Hein? Il y a des savons antiseptiques là qu'on vend à 500 francs partout là. Achetez-les et utilisez-les. Hein? Le citron, ça détruit tout ça. Hein? Quand ça ne va pas, toi-même, l'homme, tu prends la brosse à dents, tu mets un peu de dentifrice, tu brosses ta femme. Hein? C'est comme ça que vous dormez sur des draps qui. Mais attends, même si on vous jette dans un océan, même les poissons vont refuser de vous manger parce que vous êtes trop crasseux.
Did you hear that? He takes us, our women, and us to another unimaginable level. He says a level of filth on our women, on Amazonian women who are in La République du Cameroon. It's so horrible that even if they carry them and throw them in the seas, even the fishes will refuse to feast on them because they're dirty, filthy, don't know self-hygiene. Oh my goodness. This is incredible. I like people like Ebala who are frank, who come to the public and say what a good majority of the citizens of the Republic of Cameroon are saying in private. This is how they see us. In their eyes, this is who we are. Filth. In their eyes, this is who we are. Subhumans. In their eyes, this is who we are. Objects. We don't even deserve to live. Oh yes. He's not finished.
Et c'est beaucoup plus les gens du Noun, les filles du Noun, et ceux du Nord-Ouest et du Sud-Ouest.
Now yeah, he said it is mostly the people from the Noon, and then he now doesn't know. He corrects himself. Women from the Noon and those from the Northwest and Southwest. He just added Noon there. Just added Noon there for a decoy. But you see, he said it earlier. Earlier he did not mention Noon. He made clear the women from Amazonia, from the southern Cameroons. And now he says, when he describes all of this feeling, he says it is mostly the people from. And then, so he gathers even the men, jumps inside, and then narrows down again to try to confuse, say, women from the Noon and those from the, from what they call Northwest and Southwest. That we are the despicable ones.
Il vient envahir Yaoundé comme ça là, tout le monde dit qu'il a Yaoundé, on est venu chercher la vie à Yaoundé. Mais tu vois une femme, elle attache l'eau.
They just come and invade Yaoundé like that. Just come and invade. After they make our land unlivable. After they continue to kill our people recklessly. Burn some alive. After making it impossible for our people to feel free on our own land. They now tell you, my people of Amazonia, that you are invaders. Oh yes.
Il y avait eu un paquet de fesses comme ça, elle n'a pas un sous-vêtement dessus. Et c'est comme ça que quand elle s'assoit, les fesses sont déjà mouillées avec le pain partout, ça reste sur le siège.
Can you hear that? He says that women big like that, they come, they wear dresses, they even wear loins, and they don't have underwears. And then they are dirty like that, so when they just enter the taxi and sit there, and then, they are wet, and then, whatever comes out of them stays on the seats, and when another person comes and sits on there, they get, oh Lord, have mercy on your people. I'm so I'm so disgusted that I cannot continue to play that video. It's 5 minutes long, but I've decided to end it here. My people of Amazonia, this is a lesson. If you have been resisting to get this message, because it was coming from Barakuro, from that one that sometimes people think is not, you have heard it today again, because it's not the first time they have been said. Is that sometimes others have said it, might have quoted it, they were not as crude and as raw as Sebastien Ebala, that it did not sink very well. But I guess that today, since it's put in this very crude and raw manner, you will begin to hear what it means. I would like to delve into some other circumstances where the same things have been said. Let me take a bit of water down my throat. Welcome back. So my people, as I was saying, what Sebastien Ebala has said, the horrible utterances from Ebala are not just an isolated case, not an isolated situation. You will recall that a university professor of the rank of Eric Matthias Onangini referred to us on public television in a live broadcast as les pigeonophones, not les anglophones. Pourquoi on les appelle les anglophones? Ce sont des pigeonophones. It was public. He gathered all of us. He reduced us to that kind of standard. Because you hear that kind of insult to a whole people, the people of Amazonia, 8 million people, from the lips of someone who is a university professor. It did not shock you enough. No, it did not. That is why we tell people like the Munzus, like my friend Ebala and others, who come and still be talking to us about something called spatial status, talking to us about something called federalism. After hearing such, how much more do you want people to tell you you are not wanted? How much more? Now, after Eric Matthias Onangini said it and it didn't sink well in the minds of the people. And before he said it, don't forget that just when this crisis started in 2017, early 2017, Jacques Zay, journalist Jacques Zay, on Vision Catch television, said we were roaches, cockroaches. Il faut dératiser. That they should carry out une campagne de dératisation. So it just needed something to help you to wipe out the roaches, cockroaches, rats, and all sorts of things. That's how he described us. We were not too shocked. That's why Eric Matthias Onangini had to come in to amplify it in another way, but try to be a bit clear by saying, c'est seulement des pigeonophones. It still did not sink. What happened to Eric Matthias Onangini? Nothing. What happened to Jacques Zay? Nothing. Of course, Jacques Zay, until this moment I'm talking, Sebastien as a journalist, and still feeling free to call us whatever name he cares. We heard the Ernest Obamas and others say all kinds of things about us, and nothing ever happened. Another university professor, Mesanga Nyamding is a professor of international relations at the International Relations Institute Yaoundé, IRIC. Professor Mesanga Nyamding went on Equinox television and said les anglophones sont nuls. He described us as very dull, that we're about the dullest in the entire country. Has anybody forgotten? I recall that at that time I did a 10 to 12 minute video in which I spoke in French to respond and address Mesanga Nyamding, to remind him that I was his student at IRIC, at that International Relations Institute of Cameroon, and that he can recall that I was too often the best in his course. That he could recall that in the class, you also had among the first two or first three in that class were us, myself included. In IRIC, I'm talking of the International Relations Institute. But I'm saying this, that Mesanganya thing. So you see, they have insulted us in all facets, all from all angles. So first, this was a journalist who said this, and people said, oh no, it's just a journalist. He was misguided by saying full menu campaign, the dératisation. Okay, that one went. They turned around when Eric Mathias said, oh no, he was addressing himself to those who don't speak English well. When he addressed all of us as, since some part is anglophone, say they're pidginophone. Pidginophone. He said so. And then as if that was not enough, then Mesanganya came and said, we're even extremely dull. That's when we're talking about the entrance examinations into most of the professional schools, where we are systematically set aside. And he said it was due to the magnanimity of their head of state. Yeah, genocide promoter Paul Biya, that some of us could even manage to get into some of those major institutions of learning. Because if you were on basis of merit, we could not deserve. Recall that why am I forgetting his name? The name of this professor who in the University of Boya lost his position because he organized a fair and transparent examination into the Faculty of Health Sciences, Professor Lambi of the University of Boya. And when it was marked by computer software, the exam was marked by computer software, and the citizens of La Republic of Cameroon, they were nowhere to be found because they don't know. It was terrible. But my people, we were collectively addressed as being very dull with nothing to offer. It didn't mean anything. So when today I see people sharing this, that l'activiste Sebastien Ebala est convoqué ce jeudi 11 mai. Summoning Ebala means nothing. Summoning Ebala, what they call gendarmerie de recherche or whatsoever, it means nothing. Listen, he's only summoned. Was Comrade Abdul Karim summoned? No. They went to his house and captured him like they capture an animal in the forest. Where Comrade Ayub Tabe Siseku summoned with Pakistan and the others? No. They were abducted like common criminals. Was Comrade Fontaine and Abobala when they were picked up on the night of the 17th of January 2017? Were they summoned? No. They were captured like wild animals. Was the venerated man of law, Aya Paul Abine, summoned? No. He was captured like an animal. Then today, Sebastien Ebala did not say this thing this morning. No. This has been up at least 2 days now. Summoning Sebastien Ebala to come on Thursday, not even tomorrow, Wednesday, to come on Thursday, giving enough time perhaps to look for whatever. That shows the level of respect they even have for his person, despite the horrifying, the despicable things that he said about our people. My dear people of Amazonia, this is a small screen. And for those of you who keep telling us, oh no, if there's regime change, if there's a change of the people who are in power in the Republic of Cameroon, things will be different, we will be treated more humanely, we will be seen as human beings. For your information, Sebastien Ebala is a militant of the opposition NRC party of Professor Maurice Kamto. Have you seen any press release from Maurice Kamto denouncing what Ebala said? Have you seen any press release from the NRC party distancing itself from what Ebala said? Would you argue with me if I say it is seemingly the feeling of the NRC party, but it's a feeling of the entire Republic du Cameroon? Bonnet blanc, blanc, bonnet. None of them is different. They are all the same people. That tells you that if you were even Maurice Kamto in power today, nothing will change. It will even be worse. Because people like Sebastien Ebala will not only have a social media platform to go there and make this noise. Sebastien Ebala will have the CRTV cameras focused on him to tell you and me what he just said here. Oh yes. So don't daydream. No, don't daydream. This is what it is. It is that simple, that direct, and that straight. So my people of Amazonia, make no mistake. We have the singular duty to restore the dignity of our people, to restore the dignity of our land, the dignity of our women, of our daughters, of our sisters, the dignity of our people. That is why I continue to urge us to avoid focusing on the shadow and leaving the substance. In my last outing, that was 2 days ago, I talked here about the referendum, which is what is awash everywhere today. And I'd like us to, in a few minutes, listen to a fellow comrade who had, a contrary view to the things that I said and how he reacted. I'd like us to listen to this specifically because you'll be hearing this kind of things out there. And this is what is bedeviling our liberation movement. Just listen.
Yes, Comrade Sheriff, I'm very surprised that you think John Bakoro's statements make sense. On the surface, you may think it makes sense, but I think John Bakoro is one of the biggest hypocrites in this struggle. Why do I say so? I think John Bakoro knows that left to his own devices, he carries very little weight. And so the tactic he has adopted is to latch onto others for substance. And so now he is latched onto Ayabacho. And wherever Ayabacho goes, so goes John Bakoro. You see, what he is saying here, and this is something that really infuriates me, because this is an individual who is supporting someone whose actions are very much contrary to the objective that he is espousing here. He's talking about the need for us to push La Republic to a point where they will beg. But the question is, how do we do that? How do we do that? Do we do that by going out and arresting other comrades, fighters, and seizing their weapons and locking them up and stripping them and parading them on the streets as if they are the enemy? While the enemy is out there free, doing whatever they want? Is that how we're going to push La Republic to a point where they beg for a referendum? Because that is what the ADF is doing, the ADF onto which John Bakoro has now latched his teeth for survival.
Now, I'd like to interrupt him here just a bit. You listen on his even and the ignoramus is even speaking anonymously. He doesn't have the courage to tie his name to what he's saying. But look at here. I spent time here and walked us through the different scenarios that led to the referendum. Bakoro is not against the referendum. I've said that many times. Neither have I said it is not yet time for a referendum. What I have pointed out is, how do we get to that referendum? I said that from day one, I've always been convinced that this thing will end through a referendum. And I demonstrated how it happened elsewhere. My dear people of Amazonia, you are dealing with an enemy here that you know so well, whose attitude you know, whose modus operandi we know. La République du Cameroon has never ever yielded to subtle pressure. No. La République du Cameroon does not understand soft language. La République du Cameroon is like the demon. The devil does not understand soft language. You don't beg the devil that, please, I want you to leave me alone. It will not happen. It didn't happen yesterday. It will not happen today. And it will not happen tomorrow. So when I tell you that what we need to do is let us continue to do what we are doing. The last time I was here, I established La République du Cameroon is facing a lot of vicissitudes on our land. We need to maintain the resistance. We need to make it stronger. Someone else comes out. You are not in accordance with what I said. What argument has been advanced? The only argument is insult. Barakuro is a hypocrite. And because you don't have what to say, the next line of argument is Barakuro has not latched himself onto the ADF. Barakuro is not of AGOC. Barakuro is not of the ADF. Barakuro is overtly and clearly of the consortium. In this liberation movement, we are told, and we have been seeking every day, and we have been listening to our international partners work together. So working together with other groups means that you begin to own the actions of that group. This is a question I'm asking. Instead of addressing what I said, you need me to go and start talking about the activities of the AGOC. Are you so terrified? With Comrade Ayaba and the people of the ADF, you can't face them, and you choose your soft target. And you see all these kinds of audios. They make people sometimes see, and you get lost. You leave the substance. You attack the messenger because you feel that if you demean the messenger, it will water down the message. I like always that when we talk on the facts. What is it that this community disagrees with what I said? Let's listen on if there's something.
This is what I don't understand. The more I listen to John Barakuro, he sounds more like Ayabato's wife. Sorry she used that expression, but that is exactly what I see. He seems so desperate to place Ayabato because Ayabato is against the referendum.
Now look at this. I don't even know what position the AGOC. I didn't know what position the AGOC had taken on the referendum. I didn't have time to watch or to know. I had the opportunity to address this issue of referendum when I took Mr. Aminken Dennis on my platform right here and asked him all the questions, and I raised the same issues that I've raised today. When you hear somebody get down to this kind of stupidity, this level of stupidity, you understand how desperate some of our people are for the shortcuts, for the easy run. How desperate our people are. There is no shortcut to freedom. Freedom is won by hard work, by toiling, by commitment, and by enacting strategies and analyzing those strategies to see where you are short, and you go back to the drawing board to address what needs to be addressed to move forward. This is exactly what I believe in. I've become Ayabato's wife because they want me to use my platform to insult and attack Comrade Ayabacho, or to insult and attack Comrade X, Comrade Y. Perhaps there was a time that because of anger and all with some of those things, I took upon myself sometimes to respond and address some leaders on this platform. But for a long time now, I said my focus is that we need to Cameroon. All those subplots can be handled away from here. And the frustration this community has is because I've not used my platform to insult or attack a fellow comrade in arms. Comrade Ayaba and his group might be doing one or two things that are not correct. Address them. How does it become my problem? And this is exactly what I say. How does it concern what I'm talking about referring to this referendum? Listen, folks. Someone wrote to me and said, oh no, those of us who are promoting referendum have not said people should stop fighting. We have not said those who want independence should stop. It's the same thing I've said. to those who are talking about federation. Barrister Felix Abobala and Dr. Fontaine were arrested, were kidnapped, and taken to Yaoundé and they stayed in jail for 8 months because they were talking federation. A lot of people, Comrade Penn, T. Conrad, Manjo BBC, and a good lot of others are in Konegi because they talk federation. At the time, they said they were promoting secessionists and federal ideologies because the Cameroon Niger first on histoire. Because Cameroon had already done its history and cannot go back to some of those things. But when those who are standing for independence, those of us who are standing for outright independence, up the ante, to the point where some got so frustrated and angry at what was happening to their parents, the rotting down of their villages, and decided to pick up arms to defend the various communities, the government of the Republic saw that it made sense to ease their attacks on federalists just so that they could use the federalists to set confusion among those who are for independence. Not because they want federalism, no. If they wanted, the late Christian Cardinal Toumi asked and applied and did all sorts of things until his death to have the opportunity to hold a federalist conference. Was he allowed? Even Dr. Munzo has struggled, even written romantic letters to Paul Biya and all of those things, to have the opportunity to hold a federalist meeting. Was he allowed? Federalists only have a voice today because those of us that they refer to as separatists are making life impossible for La République du Cameroun. Oh yes, La République du Cameroun is spending 6 billion CFA monthly for its occupation in Amazonia, to the point where they are not able to pay their dues to the energy company, and the subcontractors in the energy sector are going on strike this Wednesday. Over almost 200 billion CFA. And the energy company says the government owes it over 180 billion. This is the effect of the resistance. And so therefore, when someone comes out there and is making some kind of elucubrations, let me say this, and let me be clear about this. Not all of us necessarily should be talking arms or should be carrying arms into the bushes. That he says that I'm trying to latch myself to the ADF in order to have relevance. In the efforts to unify Italy, for those who have read the history of Italian unification, Mazzini was a journalist. Mazzini did not have arms. He didn't have anything. He was only making noise. But history captured that Mazzini's noise made a lot of sense because it mobilized the people. It mobilized the people. Oh yes. And that is why he has a place in history. Mazzini's noise mobilized the people around Prince Camillo Cavo, who was able to get people together to facilitate the unification of Italy. His noise helped to mobilize people around Garibaldi, who was able to put together 1,000 red shirts to take action. So when you listen to people, you have no idea.
You say, no, we are not ready yet.
Like this one.
What are you doing?
He even doesn't understand what he's talking
This is
about.
what I need to know. What are you doing for us to be ready?
I never said that we are not ready or that is not yet time. I said this and I will repeat it over and over. My dear people of Amazonia, from history of liberation movements and how people get to the referendum, it is generally as part of a peace deal. It's generally as part of a peace deal. I said this yesterday. La République du Cameroon is present everywhere on our territory, in the nooks and crannies of our villages. How do you go to organize a referendum now? Who will conduct it? Who will vote? And who will not vote? Who will ensure that there is no rigging to produce the kind of result that La République du Cameroon wants? Take note, at a referendum that comes through a peace deal, which means we must constrain La République du Cameroon. Don't ask me how, you know how. And I've been saying exactly how. To constrain the Republic of Cameroon to come to the negotiation table, we need to do our homework. Instead of making noise, calling back woman name, saying all sorts of things, the wife of X is latching himself on others to have relevance, go out there, my dear brother. Contribute the money, raise the funds. I have been doing that. I've raised funds right on this platform to support foot soldiers going from community to community to ensure that we have freedom. Put that right here. And let me say this. When you get to that point of a referendum, and that be on the negotiation table, when they have to talk about that, because the Republic of Cameroon has no other option, the cost of occupation has become so much, life has become so unbearable for the Ebola territory, and they finally want peace. This is what will happen. On the negotiation table, they may ask that yes, there should be a referendum. And that referendum is always two questions only, not more than two. Always two questions. Either this or that. So either the Republic of Cameroon comes and says, no, it's insisting that the majority of Amazonians want a unity state. The question for the referendum will be, are you voting for a unitary state or you are voting for independence? It will be between something and independence. If the Republic of Cameroon sees that, okay, going through the unitary state will not be attractive because they are talk of special status that they don't even know what can be put in that special status, they will ask you, do you want to vote for a special status or you want to vote for outright independence? At which point, they will say, oh, if the Republic goes a further notch, they say, okay, do you want to go for federalism or you want to go for independence? In which case, at the end of the day, it will require the Republic of Cameroon to pull out of our territory. Its administration, its military and everything. Because usually they will set a timetable for the referendum to happen. And the timetable that they will set, the timeline that they give, is always for the people to see if at all, for one reason or the other, conditions have changed and they have changed their minds. That's what happened in East Sudan, in South Sudan. South Sudan, the peace deal was in 2005. And the referendum took place in 2011. And the questions were, do you want independence or you want to stay as an autonomous region under Sudan? Of course, go and read. It's there on the internet. The international community felt that enjoying autonomous rule for those 6 years from 2005 to 2011 with South Sudan, with the Sudan, the people of South Sudan would change their minds and decide that, okay, this arrangement is comfortable, we want to stay with this. But that doesn't happen. So instead of coming here and screaming and making all the noise, do the needful. So listen, it is not me who says it. It is Martin Luther King Jr. who says, if you can't fly, run. If you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl. But by all means, keep moving. We have to keep moving in this liberation movement. We have to keep making life unacceptable and impossible for the Republic of Cameroon on our territory. Even when you are asking for whatever you want to ask. I have not said don't ask for a referendum. But I said we cannot make the campaign for a referendum our main focus at this point in time. We need to concentrate on what will bring the Republic of Cameroon to the negotiations table so that we can have the opportunity to discuss the conditions under which a referendum will be held on our land. That's simple. I suppose it's not complicated for anybody to understand. Because when you go through the social media forums, so you say, oh, don't allow anybody who was at the hosting center to come talking anything. It's most people who are at the hosting center who should be allowed to hold any conference or say anything, because now everybody should only be talking referendum. Some superpower can come and the pressure like people to Cameroon to listen, folks. The United States of America, a member of the UN Security Council, put in all the effort he could to get the Security Council to discuss the situation in Amazonia. The French, the Chinese resisted. They resisted until at the end of the day, the United States only succeeded in obtaining that they should discuss this following the Ariel formula, which ended without a resolution. So if you are making let us go out there and be shouting referendum, 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 somebody may hear, I do what? France is still a member of the UN Security Council. The United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland that got into the unholy arrangement with France to keep us in bondage are permanent members of the UN Security Council. China that is tapping benefits from Cameroon that is even already eyeing the exploitation of the iron ore, the billions of deposits of iron ore identified in Donga Mountain County. They are still permanent members of the UN Security Council. As long as La République du Cameroon, through this particular partners, feel that they don't want any discussions about this, there it will not happen. As long as La République du Cameroon feels that there is no referendum to be organized anywhere, it will not happen. But we, and that is what Mr. Tibonagi said, he himself who talked about the referendum, still said this: stop counting on any international power. He was clear. He was clear. Just stop counting on any international powers. After calling on us over and over and over to put our acts together, to unite, to collaborate and attain our objective, said, okay, if you people don't want to go through the right way, the channel that is surest, then go through at least the beggarly approach. At least you keep moving, you keep doing something. And something today that's the new thing. It's not today they started talking about referendum. I've been talking about it a long time ago, from time immemorial. My people of Amazonia, let us do the hard work. Let us opt to do right. I'm not stopping anybody from talking referendum, but I'm insisting that following the pattern of things, knowing who we are up against, we need to continue to intensify our resistance. Yeah, it is through that resistance that we will force the Republic to come to the negotiation table. Don't have the time for people who spend their time on social media making all the noise on social media, because that's where it ends. You can't even pronounce his name, who he is, that's where it ends. And let me make this clear. I don't even know where he's coming from, where they come from, something called the Big Four or Big Five. It is a social media hype. I don't know those things, and I said here long ago, I don't believe in slogans. Big Four, Big Five, Big whatever. What does it add up? What does it bring to this liberation movement? People live in real things and have on inanities. Let us focus on what will give us freedom and forget, subplots that will not take us anywhere. We are on our own. And let us fight like people who know that they are on their own. Let us prosecute this liberation movement like people who know that they are on their own. We have to fund this liberation movement.